Good morning, Cami.
Hi, good morning. I'm so excited to do this with you. We haven't done a live in like 4 years. Yay, she can see both of us. Perfect.
That's my friend
Lo-
Kendra. She owns
Lovely.
Boomtag Media. Shout out Boomtag Media.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So, we haven't done a live since in like 4 years. I think I came onto your platform at that time, and I was still so new at going live on Instagram. I think I want to kind of say that you maybe like was my first live, maybe, unless it was
Wow.
like by myself. I think you were like my first like joint live. So kind of fun. Kind of
Yeah.
fun.
I
Here we
miss doing
are.
lives.
I know. Oh, I know. So today we wanted to really talk about focus and prioritization and just priorities and how do we stay on track with all of this stuff. And what I love about you is that you have been such an inspiration for me because you're always moving and grooving and doing something. And I love watching you because I'm like, all right, she's going, she's writing, she's got a new product that she's putting out. You're always doing something, or you're on a road trip, right? Like you're just doing something always, and I just love it. So I've always loved watching you and just being your friend here. And so I want my friends to know you and vice versa, right? I think it's just amazing. So you've got some pretty big things that you're working on right now. So tell us a little bit about that because I know the other day we talked and you were just like, I'm really focused on this. And I know a lot of people are trying to focus on something right now. A lot of us.
Yeah. So, okay, focus was not always my best trait. And actually, I mean, like many of us, ADHD, right? Majorly for me. It's definitely derailed me multiple times, even throughout the day.
Mhm.
But for some reason, I have this tenacity, probably got it from my mom, that I'm constantly like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up.
Mhm.
Like I cannot be held down.
Yeah.
It's not even about the energy. It's not like, oh, I've got so much energy. It's really the fortitude I have in my mindset.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that really came again from my mom, and
Mhm.
also the fact that I feed my mind just as much as I feed my body. Every morning I am programmed, I have programmed myself to throw on something positive for my mindset every single morning, no matter how I feel. I mean, I used to wake up numerously in a row in a funk, feeling depressed, feeling lazy, feeling just not motivated. But then I
Yeah.
started reprogramming my mind. So motivational talks, podcasts, and I do the whatever I'm doing in the morning, making tea,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I'm like programming my mind. And some people do it at night. They put on subliminal messages. I
Mhm.
tried doing that. It worked sometimes for me, not so much. Nighttime's
I
more of
always
a battle.
fell asleep.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I don't know if
right.
that worked.
Yeah. So one of the things, this was the game changer for me. I ended up going to this like coaching session,
Mhm.
and I just had a question about business here in Wyoming. So
Mhm.
I'm originally from Phoenix in California,
Yeah.
and then I got here to Wyoming, and I had a question about my business. And another woman was in that coaching session, and she went first, and they asked her, "What do you do?"
Mhm.
And she started naming off all of these hats that she wears. And I don't know why this, because I've heard this multiple times in numerous uh, meetings I've been in,
Yeah.
but for some reason, this one time, I got really annoyed by it. I was like, oh my gosh, she does this, she does that, she does, and my brain was just like overload, overload,
Yeah.
overload. And then it hit me. Am I her? I'm her. I'm the girl who's naming off all these things and all these hats I wear. And I was like, oh my
Interesting.
gosh, okay, whoa, it's now I see I am juggling way too many
Yeah.
things, way too many things. And I don't care what she's doing. Let her do whatever makes her
Abs-
happy. You do you, boo. But
And
for me,
that's 90% of all entrepreneurs. We
mhm,
are all wearing too many hats. All of us. There's not one company I've ever sat down with that wasn't playing more roles than they needed to be playing ever. So
yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
glad you recognize that because most people don't. That's amazing.
Well, something inside of me recognized it, and it was heavy, and it was
Yeah.
heavy, and it started making me look at myself and all the hats I'm carrying. And I thought to myself, I'm tired. I'm tired of being the entrepreneur who's carrying so many hats. Maybe no wonder I'm not the millionaire I wanted to be in so many years. Like
Mm-hmm.
something's just not adding up.
Right.
And I always believe in that quote. If you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. Do something
Right.
different. Tweak the chemistry, tweak the measurements, and you'll get a different result.
Yeah.
So I realized from that point, that was actually the answer to my question, because my question was, should I terminate my business that I'd had for 6, 7 years, or should I just roll it over to the state of Wyoming?
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I knew my answer was terminate the business,
Wow.
because I also realized that the business was a cash monster. It was taking more from me than it was giving back.
Okay.
So I said, okay, pick 3 things, Helen. 3 things. If you're going to wear hats, pick 3 things. We can go from 10 to 3. It's
Yeah.
okay. So I said, okay, what 3 things am I most passionate about that I can do, that I'm going to do no matter if I get paid or not? And then
Okay.
I'm going to invest in those and turn those into the money makers. So I decided on uh, be focusing on becoming an author, or being an author, which I'm already an
Yeah.
author, the podcast, which I've had for 7 years. And at the time I was doing, I was a financial strategist, and I said, okay, I'm going to do those 3, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then again, I found myself wearing multiple hats, 3 hats. All of a sudden felt really heavy. I was like, okay, a year into it, I said, one of them's got to go. You
Mm-hmm.
got to start letting go. You have to let go
Yeah.
in order to create space for something bigger. So I said, okay, I'm letting go the financial strategist.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I'm passionate about it. I still have my license for it, but it's a risk. It's a risk to do what you're passionate about. So I let go of that.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, it has been amazing. I've been able to help my husband in his business and be more of a support for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize his business is our business.
Yeah.
Like, we're a team. So I'm able to put my skill set towards that. And then also do the 2 things that I freaking love doing, that I've been doing for years. And now I've got a media kit created by Cassidy Handel, the copywriting mama, for my podcast. I just taught my first workshop on author expertise yesterday. I'm excited about it. I'm ready. I'm writing my second book. Like, this is what happens when you create space and you
That's right.
stop weighing yourself down on so much,
Yeah.
and you allow yourself to just focus.
Wow. I love that. It is absolutely that. It is so magical when you get to that point where you are just, you feel clogged by everything. You feel heavy, you can't breathe. There's this, I'm just not doing enough of what I want to do,
Mhm.
constant feeling, right? Like you're never doing enough kind of thing. But that intentional removing of things and moving and making room for new energy, making room for the things that you want the universe to kind of align with you. I did that too about 2.5 years ago. I went through a program and I like self went through it, but it was like, get rid of all your things you're tolerating. Get rid of all the stuff that cluck in your car and in your house and your storage, and just remove it all. I literally removed it all. I went through for 2 months and just decluttered, and I made my list. I did all my things, and it went down so granular, Helen, that was like, if there was a shirt with a button on it that I kept grabbing and it was annoying me, like those annoyances, I even removed that out of my life so it wasn't there no more. I'm like, if I haven't put the damn button on it now, I'm probably not going to do it in the next week or month or year. It's not going to happen, right? Because it's probably been hanging in my closet for way too long. And once I did that, I'm going to be honest, when I did that, I felt clearer. I had better conversations. I slept better. My routines were better. My business grew because now all of a sudden I had room for all of that goodness. There was
Mm.
nothing else there. So I know you have been so focused on writing your next book. Tell us kind of how you get into that mindset now to where you just prioritize that, you focus on that. Because even last night, I shared with you a little while ago, I stayed up way too late. I had something on my list that I had been putting off, and I was like, gosh darn it, today's the day I'm going to get this done before I go to bed. And it probably would have been done at like 9 p.m., which would have been fine. But it's technology, and I'm not a technical person. I'm good enough to break a lot of things, and I'm good enough to put things out, and I'm smart enough to build websites, right? So I'm somewhere in the middle of this. Well, there was one little thing that I was having issues with. It took me 3 hours to figure it out. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
but I was focused. I was not going to bed. I was so focused. And when I get hyper focused like that, I swear I can climb mountains. It's amazing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can get so much done during that time, right?
Yes. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said decluttering. So it's just like digital, what is it called? Digital distraction,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's exactly like clutter. Everything in your life that's cluttering you is distracting you from what you need to do. And I get it all the time. I'm like squirrel, I really have to tell
Yeah.
myself, don't think, just do. That's kind of like been my mantra for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. Because the moment that thinking grabs a hold of
Mm-hmm.
me, I am I'm not digitally distracted. I'm mentally distracted by my own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So I just tell myself, don't think, just do. Get your laptop together, leave the house, go to a coffee shop, put
Mm-hmm.
your timer on and write for two and a
Mm-hmm.
half hours, 2 to 3 hours. And that's what I do when I want to really get some writing done. I have my own office in my home and I still have a hard time sitting down and focusing on that. But I don't have a hard time podcasting in my office. So I've realized what you start to realize your habits and what you tend to lean towards.
Yeah.
So whatever's working, keep doing that for whatever project you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's another project you're having a hard time with, you've got to kind of, like I said, play with the chemistry,
Yeah.
see what
Change
works,
the verb.
what doesn't. Yeah, change
Yeah.
change your pattern because
Mm-hmm.
something's going to end up working, and then you need to do that. And what I do is I treat it like a job. I'm just like, I'm having a writing day today. This is what I'm doing. I don't make any plans for anybody else unless it's later on in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully focused on prioritizing me and my relationship with my writing.
Yeah.
And that's all I do.
Do you tend to be creative at a certain time of day, like more so in the morning or in the afternoon or evenings? Like,
Yes.
what's that kind of look like? Because writing is a creative process, right? Like, you've got to be vulnerable and creative, and you got to make that come alive. So, how do you balance that?
Mornings, mornings are my creative time. I have the most energy. My husband's not home, so it's me time. And when he gets home, it's like us time. So I kind of stop.
Yeah.
I've got that thing where I try not to do it all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I set I really make my marriage and my person a priority. So I shut off me, like my stuff at a certain time, unless I've scheduled, events or dinner plans or anything else with anybody else, which is pretty rare. But yeah, I tend to make it the mornings and I just go because I know me. I know my habits. Once it hits like a certain time in the afternoon, I start powering down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I feel like I'm on a time crunch, which
Yeah.
is great. This is good. It's actually a good thing because it really lights a fire under your butt to say, hey, get it done before this time. You've got
Yeah.
a deadline to meet. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I've placed it in my mind.
That's awesome.
And I love deadlines. Okay, no, I don't love deadlines, but I tend to work
Mm-hmm.
faster and more efficient when I have deadlines. So
Right.
I kind of created that in my head.
I love that. I
That's a
love
good
that.
question.
I think that it's very helpful to have a little bit of pressure added to get something done. Like a couple years ago, I really got to the point where I was like, I'm going to keep promises I make to myself. I make promises to everybody else. Like if I tell my kid I'm taking him to Chuck E. Cheese, you better bet he's going to remind me that I promised him I was going to take him to Chuck E. Cheese, right? Like he's not going to let me forget. for myself, I would totally forget, oh yeah, go paint your toenails or go do this or go do that. Like I would push it off, push it off. So I started really being intentional on keeping the promises I was going to make to myself. Like I'm going to get this done, or I want to get this done, so go do it. And the second I was like, oh, I really want to do whatever that is, I would go schedule a time block in my calendar. And that actually, even if it was just like, oh, I want to go look into this, I would go put like research places to travel or whatever it is, right? Like I would just go set the time, because otherwise it never showed back up on my calendar or in my thought process to actually get done. It was just a thought of one day I would like to do this thing. And that really changed a lot of my habits, because you're right. It's discipline. It's all discipline. And you got to build that muscle of just starting to prioritize yourself and your focus and the project that you're working on, so you can get to where it is that you're wanting to go, right?
Mhm.
One thing I've been doing a lot lately, and so I work with a lot of business owners who are always working on projects. They always have something. Most of the time they're in the online space or they want an online presence. So I've been opening up a container where it's just a co-working session, and we're doing like 2 hour time blocks, and it's been phenomenal because we all come in, we all say good mornings, grab our coffees or afternoons or whatever it is, right? And then from there, we set our intention in the chat. We let everybody know what it is that we're going to be working on during that time block. And then we mute ourselves and we do the work, right? And that has been extremely helpful. That helps me because I work at home 100%. Like I'm here all the time. I never leave my office, just because I live in a small town and the Wi-Fi is not good here. And there are no coffee shops where I live. I miss coffee. I miss living in Arizona with coffee shops, right? And I don't have that here. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think there's a restaurant here that has Wi-Fi. So it's not an option for me today. But
Wow.
for me, it's really just getting into that mindset of doing that. Now, if I don't have a co-working session set up, I typically will co-work myself and almost body double myself on a Zoom call. I will open up Zoom and record myself working, because for
Mhm.
some reason I work differently when I'm expected to show up versus getting squirrely and I'm all over the place, right? I've had to remove distractions. I take my phone and I go put it away. I move it into a different room, or, I put on instrumental music versus music with words. That's really, like, I love instrumental hip hop. Like, it's my absolute favorite. Like, Snoop Dogg has definitely got me through some good stuff, all instrumental. Like it's good, like Eminem's good on instrument. Like the beats are really good. So I love listening to that. I did that in college too, and it just really helped. And so like those things have really helped me just get things done. Like last night I was just like, okay, like sometimes my husband will come down and he'll be like, you have no music on down here. It's just weird. And I'm in
It's
the
just
basement.
weird.
So he's like, it's weird. You've been down here for 13 hours. You're not talking to nobody and there's nothing on. And I'm like, I literally have to, my brain can distract me in like 1 second. Like it's just, I could be in the middle of an email and then all of a sudden I see a notification and then, oh yeah, I remember, oh yeah, I wanted to research this. And oh yeah, oh my cat's here. And oh yeah, like I learned to open up my tabs on my computer, and most of us I think have like 1,000 tabs open at all times, and if you have double screens like I do, it's probably 2,000 tabs, right? So I've learned to like open up projects in like its own separate like tab and then close that whole thing down. So if I'm like working on a research project or a program or whatever, I'll close that whole thing down, all of my research, everything down, so I can't rethink of it, and then I have to like go through all my opened like Google's down at the bottom. Like I'm like, what screens do I have open? And that has helped me a lot when I'm in the process. Also a good old reboot of my computer and just kicking it all off, and it's helpful. It's helpful. So I think that those are some of the best tips and things, strategies that have just definitely worked for me. So
Well, what I really love that you said is that how you set a time
mhm.
blocks because you don't have coffee shops and these places to go to. You've created something for yourself that works for you, and then possibly sounds like it works for the others who join you. And I think that's pretty genius because you found a
Yeah.
way. And a lot of people, many people get stuck, and they
Mhm.
get stuck in that I don't know how, I don't know where,
Mhm.
I don't know when. It's their excuses.
Yeah.
And and then they're stuck, and then a year goes by and they haven't started whatever project they've been wanting to
Sure.
start. I'm guilty of
Yeah, me
that.
too.
I know. That's why I'm
Yeah,
saying it. But
100%.
you found a way,
Mhm.
not just for yourself, but you found a way for others.
Yeah.
And that's the awesome thing about women like us is we want to help other women out there.
Mhm.
We want to help other people out there.
Mhm.
And people come to us like, what are you doing? What can we do to get ahead? And we're
Yeah.
helping each other. So I got
Yeah.
to commend you on that. That's a genius idea.
Thank you. You should join one of my next sessions. Maybe you just get some stuff done.
Yeah, I'll try it.
So,
I'll
hey,
try it. I'm always down to try everything,
yeah,
at least
yeah.
once.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I think I experienced something like that about 5, 6 years ago. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like they just came in and just did super hyper focus, like this is what we're working on. And I really enjoyed that time. And then as I've been growing and my clients have been growing, we all have things that we're working on. Most of the time I get off a client call and I give them things to do. So I know they have things to do, right? And none of us have time to get it done normally. So we're trying to smoosh it in and make it work. And so I even yesterday I had a client call and she messaged me ahead of time and she was like, "Do you mind if we just do a co-working session on this one?" She goes, I just haven't even finished the thing that we needed to get done and she has something she's trying to launch." And I was like, "Absolutely, let's do that." So it gave us the time to for her to complete something and then get my feedback on it as well before the end of the call. So it totally worked out well for her, you know. And I think that that's the thing is you've got to find what works for you. If it's going to the coffee shop and putting your earbuds in and listening to instrumental Eminem or whatever it is, right? Like you've just got to kind of move all of those things. For me too, I like the lights dim versus super bright. Like I like them dim and I like just being in my own little bubble almost, just being able to hyper focus. So
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
dip your toe in and try it. The reason
absolutely.
I'm able to do the things I'm able to do right now is because I've dipped my toe in so many things
Yeah.
and seen what I like, what I don't like, what I'm going to hold off on,
Mhm.
what works for me. And there's this thing where people get kind of weirded out by trying all these things. They think it's something's wrong with them
Yeah.
or they're not focused, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is you're in the process of seeing what you like and what you don't like, just like trying different foods and different wines. You're trying to see you are exploring yourself. It's called
Exactly.
self-discovery, and that journey never
Uh,
ends. And
yeah.
it's a very big part of finding your fizzle,
Yeah.
finding your passion in life, finding your what job you're going to love and career you're going to love for the rest of your life or for many years of your life.
Mhm.
So dip your toe in and stuff, try it out, see what works. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe you'll circle back. I mean, this is the awesome part of life and choice is that you got the choice to try it all.
I think so. You know, I think we're very blessed at this moment in our lives and in the society we live in and the technology we have and all
Mm-hmm.
the resources because 30, 40, 50, 20 years ago, people had to go to college to get a career, and that was their career typically for their entire life. There was not a lot of other options. There was no like, go on a self discovery journey and see what you like and if it fits on. It was like, no, you went to school to be a dentist, go be a dentist. You don't get to be an influencer and a author and a speaker and a pet advocate. That's not what happens, right? Like you had to be a dentist. And a lot of people I think who've gone through schooling have and lived those lives have had that pressure of I shouldn't do this. It's different. It's pivoting, right? This is against the grain. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. And so our student loans tell us that, our parents tell us that, our society tells us that. We get jobs and I know I have a degree in psych and stuff and I remember I was going for this one job and they're like, "Yeah, but do you have a certificate in this?" And I'm like, "That certificate literally costs $100. Why would I get that certificate when I have a master's degree and 2 years of my doctorate?" Like, okay, let's think about this. It doesn't make sense, but yet you require somebody who has that degree. It blows my mind. It blows my mind still to this day, right? And people didn't live like that, 10, 15 years ago. They didn't do that. Very few people have changed careers. And I think that right now, more than ever, women and men are getting to the point in their 40s because they've done their 20s, the 30s, the way that it was supposed to be set up for them and they're waking up and they're like, this is not how I want to live the next 60, 80 years of my life or more. Well, 60, 50, 40, 80.
Mhm.
If you live to 120, great. But you know what I'm saying? Like things are changing and people are pivoting right now, big time. There's a big pivot of them trying to figure out what fills their cup. What should they
Sure.
prioritize?
Yeah, I think there's something in the back of
Yeah.
our minds in each of us. It's called the intent, right? The
Mm-hmm.
intent, like what's feeling our attention. And I know for me, in the back of my mind, I expose myself to a lot of what's going on in the world. Not necessarily like news, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of news and negativity, but more like what realistically is going on in other countries for women, especially. And that when I see it, I expose myself purposely because one, my heart's always going out to those less fortunate. And two, I know how great I got it. And because of that, I
Mm-hmm.
say to myself, do it for your sisters. Do it for your sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Those who
Exactly.
can't, those who don't have the option to have a job, those who don't have an option to have education,
Mm-hmm.
do it for your sisters. So I always kind of think like that, and it inspires me every day. And there's another. I just recently listened to a death doula do a talk. I've never really heard of a death doula.
Yeah.
Her name's Alula Arthur, and it blew my mind the way that she was talking about death.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us always constantly think about death. I know I do.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she transformed my way of thinking about death as death is the teacher who teaches you how to live, I said to myself, oh my goodness, this it was so powerful, so powerful. And I thought to myself, yeah, yeah, because when I think about my own death, you know, things can happen tomorrow. It
Yeah.
really puts a fire under my butt. Like, hey
Yeah.
girl, get make your dreams happen now. Create your legacy now. Do not stall. And and like I said, because of those two things and maybe a few other things I think about, it really it motivates me.
Yeah.
It's all the motivation I need to say, you're fortunate, get it done.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I remember one of our very first conversations with you, and it just ticked in. And you're like, "Yes, I have this podcast. It's pretty brand new." I want to say you had like 15 or 16 episodes at the time. It was still such a baby podcast.
Oh,
And you're like, "I'm still learning." And I remember you telling me, you're like, "I'm still learning how to do this, and I'm just having fun with it." And I'm leaving my legacy. No matter what, I have a legacy here to tell my story. And I've never forgotten that. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about you, Helen, is that everything you do, like there's a bigger intention behind it, which is so important for you to actually even more so prioritize and focus and get this shit done, right? Because there's a bigger reason behind it. It's for your sisters, it's for your grandkids, it's for whoever comes along and picks up that stuff, right? And I think a lot of that's true in me as well. Like for me, it's not about always making millions or billions or any of that stuff. It's always about the impact that I can make on somebody else and help encourage them and inspire them and help them accomplish what it is. And oh, Instagram's telling me I am done for the day with my time limit. I
uh-oh.
have
We better wrap it up.
so one of the things I have on Instagram is actually the time settings. I don't know if you've ever done that. Like it tells you like when you've been on it for too long. So I have it like only for an hour a day, and it's already like, oh, you're done for the day.
Wow.
Help me with my squirrely brain, right? But just to get back to it, like I've loved watching your journey throughout the last couple of years. I've loved seeing you, dancing in the morning sun, and I've loved seeing your podcast come out, and then following your love story with you and your now husband, and you've just been on this path, this roller coaster, I would say, for quite a few years, but it's been so lovely to watch from afar. And it's so crazy that we are so connected in so many ways. Like we both lived in the same town, but yet we never actually met, right? Like it's just has not aligned yet, but we've been friends for a while. And I call you my friend. And I'm very grateful to call you my friend. And I'm so excited to see. Yes. I'm like, my coffee. Yes. Like I'm so excited to see what you have coming out next. So share with us a little bit about what you have coming out next. Where should, if people don't know who you are and where you are, tell us all that stuff. Tell us the good stuff.
Okay. Yes, let's do this. You can find me, Hell of a Journey, Instagram, uh, Facebook. You can also find me on TikTok, Hell of a Journey, just add the number one. If you haven't gotten my first book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, it's available on Amazon and Audible. It is rated R and X for explicit language, so be mindful. Please be women over 18. And I also just want to recommend this book. It's called Profit First by Michael Lowitz.
Mhm.
I hope I said his last name right. Profit First. This was the book that really changed my mindset on small business
Yeah.
and helped me really determine, is my business a moneymaker or am I just feeding it money? So very, very great book. His whole thing on it is your business should start making you money from day one, just like a piggy bank does. If you got a piggy bank around and you put money in that more than you put in your business, then your piggy bank's making you more money as a business than your actual business. So think about that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I love Profit First. I just recommended that to one of my clients the other day. We
that's
should
so
have a call
awesome.
on that
Hashtag
specific book.
align,
It's
hashtag
so
align.
good.
Yep.
I love that book. I always recommend it because I talk to so many business owners who have been in business for 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 years, and they're not taking a paycheck. They have
Um,
they're like everything else is being barely floated and they still haven't got there. So that's a whole different conversation for us. I love
I
that book.
know.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Good job. I love that. So you have so if people want to buy your book, oh, your podcast.
Oh, Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. Or I have my other one, Your Morning Sauce, for all those who just want 6 minute or less episodes.
I
So yeah,
love
Sexy
that.
Freedom Media Podcast. Just find me. You can find everything about me and follow my journey. I'm writing my sequel, which is the title's coming out soon, but it's the sequel to Nothing Sexier Than Freedom.
Oh, I love that for you. I can't wait for your second book. I can't wait to just continue following you and your journey and everything else and just seeing where we are. Like if we've gotten this far in 4 years, just imagine where we'll be in another
I
four
know,
years.
Cami, this is incredible. Well, hopefully, if you move again, you move here to Wyoming. I
You know,
think
it's
I'm
so
gonna be
funny.
here for a
We were
while.
looking
So,
at moving, I did look in Wyoming because I knew you were there.
see,
I mean, you never know where life takes you ever, but I'm so grateful to even have you virtually in my world and just I just know you're there. You're such a great support and just amazing friend. And I love your Morning Sauce podcast. I think it's my favorite because I like bite-sized things. I can't get through an hour-long conversation in 2 days. It takes me 2 days to get through an hour-long conversation. Why? Because I'm squirrely and because I have other things going on. And my longest distance in the car these days, because I'm not in Arizona traffic, is like 5 minutes. So by then my car is not even turned on yet. It just like turns on, turns off.
that's awesome.
So yeah, so absolutely. Anybody who's watching, definitely go listen to those podcasts. I think they're phenomenal and they're gonna fall in love with you like I have. So thank you so much. Let's do this again because I think that we definitely have so much more we can share with our communities. I think it's great. So thank you so
Yes.
much. I
Thank you,
will chat with
Cami.
you soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Helen. Have a
Bye, everyone.
beautiful day.
Yeah.
Bye.